What's going on? How's everybody doing? It's America Unplugged. My name is Billy Ray Valentine, the War on Reality Report. I am joined by the usual suspects, Mr. Tony Arterburn, the wisest of all the wolves, broadcasting from an undisclosed location. How are you, sir? What's going on? You're muted, Mr. Arterburn.
They've muted him in parts unknown.
Don Jeffries, the legendary, is also here with me. Check out the shirt.
I think he's there now.
Billy, I was.
There he is.
I was talking to a lemur.
What's up? What's up?
Sleeper cells had him.
Yeah, it's a bad look when you talk to yourself, but when you're talking to other animals, it's even worse. So please cut it out. They're not going to respond back. They're just going to take your stuff. What's up, Tone?
Well, he was trying to take the crystal skull that I had found on this excursion. So I've got 3 now. So if we'll link up with the ones that you have, we can open the portal that you were discussing.
We need 13 of them.
Okay.
Right? So we got a long way to go. There's one in the British Museum that we can go get there. And the most gorgeous crystal skull is in Canada. And Canada is soon to become the 51st state, so we won't have an issue traveling over there. And we can take by force the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull. That's what it's going to take. I think we have what it takes to just rip it off of their hands and bring it back and unite the 13 skulls. But all jokes aside, I was thinking about the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull yesterday because I was listening to Prince. You guys know Prince is my favorite of all time next to Rage Against the Machine. And I was wondering what happened to his Purple Rain guitar. And I looked it up, and it just sold for like $500,000 in 2024, and I was just thinking, I'm like, if I had that money, I'd probably bid for that guitar because I'd like to keep these things, right? And I have a fascination with the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull. Like, I want that thing. So I would have certainly bought it, and it came to mind or whatever. I don't know if you know which one the Mitchell Hedges is, but it's the most beautiful one, the one that was studied by Hewlett Packard back in the 70s. It's just gorgeous. It's so well made. It's probably, I think all of them are forgeries. I mean, not forgeries, but I mean, they're not as old as they say they are. They're more modern than they're given credit for, most likely. But still, I'm infatuated with that. We could talk about the crystal skulls at some point, Tony. But good job going down there and retrieving some of them. We need 13 of them, and then we can open up the portal and hop to another reality. And that, Don, you're welcome to come. The legendary, but you can't wear that shirt to the other reality. We need to do different things. Tell the people what's up, sir. How are you?
Good, hanging in there. And I remember the crystal skull discussion back when I was into the weird phenomena back in the 70s. But it was in the times when I wasn't doing JFK assassination. It was UFOs, Bermuda Triangle, pyramid power, things like the crystal skull. All that stuff fascinated me.
I'm still fascinated by it to a degree. The Ark of the Covenant, of course. The Spear of Destiny.
Yes. I read that book. The
Holy Grail. Which I don't think is a physical thing. But regardless, we have a lot to talk about. Maybe I should just pull up Drudge, and we can go from there. But good Lord, it never seems to slow down. Ghislaine Maxwell has been transferred to another jail that is dope. It has, a sauna in it. And I'm making that up, but it's supposed to be a lot better than where she is. I can only assume that she got this through negotiating with Trump's DOJ, because they went down to talk to her and all of a sudden she's being moved. So this is a very, very touchy situation. What's going on here? Because, Don and I and Tony were talking behind the scenes before we went on air, and at this point, I was telling Don that I'm convinced they're going to pardon this woman. At this point, I'm like, what the hell is going on? And in a normal universe, which is the one that we seek to find when we unite the crystal skulls, in a normal universe, this wouldn't even be a conversation. But we're openly talking about it. He is openly talking about it. They're asking him about pardons, and he says the same thing that he has said about everyone else that he's pardoned so far. When he said it about Roger Stone, he said it about Michael Flynn. He said, well, I don't know. Everybody wants me to pardon him. People have been asking to pardon him. I don't know if it's the time to pardon him, but I can do it. I can. These are things that I can do, So, I mean, he's saying all of this stuff. We'll start off with Maxwell a little bit and the Epstein situation, which is not going away. And I'm happy it's not going away. So let's continue to talk about it and beat this dead horse until there's nothing to beat. But also I do want to talk about Trump firing the head of statistics because he didn't like the numbers that came out for the jobs report, and he's like, these are fake, and fired the head of that type of information. It's on Drudge. I'll pull it up when we talk about it, but that's very dangerous as well. Regardless of that, let's talk about the Epstein situation. They're clearly negotiating with her, Don. I mean, I'm going to go to Don first, and then I'm coming to Tony. They've gone to talk to her. They granted her immunity for a day. This is insane. Like she can say whatever she wants to, and I, also news came out that Trump had 1,000 FBI agents comb the Epstein documents to redact his name on it. And then it came out in May that Pam Bondi had told him, hey, you're all over these things, guy. And then he claimed that he didn't know and all this other stuff. I mean, this is really getting out of hand, and he is not doing anything to try to even make it seem as if he's covering something up. Like he's just saying whatever the hell is on his mind. Like, I don't know. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, no, and this is the Epstein thing isn't going to go away, as you say, and we shouldn't let it. But it's he's lost a substantial portion of his base over this, and combined with his absolute subservience to Israel, he just will not back off from that. We saw him, threatened to cut off a trade deal with Canada because Canada may recognize Palestine. I mean, this is, he just as the vaccine thing, he doesn't understand his base, or this is part of him being an actor. But there's been a huge change in him. This is not the Trump from 2020 or definitely not from 2016. He is completely different now. He's barely even talking about the issues that got him elected in the first place, the MAGA type issues. But and what he does, he's just all into, he's still distracting people with, I'm going to get Mexico, copy Mexico and get cane sugar back in Coca-Cola, or I'm going to stop that. I'm going to change the commander's name back to the Redskins. That's Trump right there. That's Trumpenstein right there, trying to distract the people with, stupid things that are small, small winning if you even consider that. But the Epstein thing is real now. And if we learn that he was trying to get his name redacted, obviously there was something there. I mean, to pretend there isn't even any list, there aren't any files, it's absolutely ridiculous. And so perhaps that'll be, maybe eventually they'll produce something, and the Democrats can then say it's fake because his name somehow won't be on it, or it'll be redacted. And it's this, because they're all implicated. Whatever was going on, Epstein had a lot of powerful connections, and you need to look at who Epstein was. How did he become Epstein? How do you go from a math teacher to a billionaire, in like 10 years or whatever it was? I mean, how do you do that? How does that happen? And clearly, when you had the former prime minister of Israel visiting you like 30 some times, you have some kind of relationship with Israel. There's no question about it. Unless you're going to say this guy Barack was a pedophile himself and just wanted to partake in this child sex trafficking. This is, I hope that he does. The MAGA movement is completely broken over this, because obviously no good is going to come of it. But this it's just shameful what you're saying. And he's just every day I look at his tweets have gotten, they used to be humorous, back in his first term when he had Kofifi and stuff, and he'd misspell, and his base thought he was being significant. He was trying to say some kind of message or whatever. He'd misspell and talk about hamburgers and stuff. I mean, there was some humor involved in it. I don't see any humor now. It's just angry all the time. He's angry. He's lashing out constantly, and he's saying he can do this and do this. I mean, the idea that why would he possibly consider pardoning P. Diddy, and from what? The jury pardoned him. Basically, the jury let him off. He as all famous people do, he didn't get convicted of anything serious. So why would that be an issue for Trump? Who does he think of his political supporters are demanding, hey, you got to do something about it. P. Diddy shouldn't even have those misdemeanors or whatever he got convicted of on his record, especially when P. Diddy is considered the modern version of Epstein. So it just makes him look bad. But again, is that part of the act? Is because he's doing everything to act guilty and incriminate himself. And I that's why I think this is part of the act. I don't know what the end is. I don't know if it's going to end with him, swinging from a gallows in front of the White House. I don't know. I really have no idea. But this new Trump, there's nothing likable about him at all, and he's not even attempting to play to his base. And I see Tulsi Gabbard. What happened? What is this thing about trying to get Obama for treason? What was that last week? The issues that's already gone. That's not, nobody's talking about that now. It's on to something else, and that's what I say about these World War III. What happened to World War III? We're not even really talking about that now. We looked like it was on the brink of it. It just goes from one day to the next. New things to distract the people, and Trump is always in the middle of it. And he's, nothing can be done with this giant orange albatross in the middle of everything because he's not doing what he did. He's not even attempting to do anything that approaches, the issues that he was elected on. And this most recent thing, it's very dangerous, is this, I forget the name of it, somebody in the chat probably knows, but it's some kind of thing where they're going to share all the medical information about people along all the platforms. And I think it's involved with AI and all that stuff. It sounds about as Orwellian as could be. And it doesn't sound like making America great again or being America first. So, at this point, I have no argument with you, Billy, about Trump. I mean, I still hate the other people, though, too. That's right. I'm never going to, I don't care how bad he gets. I'm never going to say the other guys look good by comparison, but it's very distressing because so many people, and I feel bad for the 80 million people or so that supported him and more than probably 100 or more million that supported him initially, and then jumped off the bandwagon at some point because they trusted this guy to at least some degree, and to see where it is at this point, and how it may end, I don't know, but I'm with you. Let's keep pressing on the Epstein stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can't let up on that. Tony, give me your thoughts, buddy.
Well, I think the most interesting observation over the past couple of weeks has been the insertion of reinsertion of Russiagate, and then entropy kicked in, and now you don't hear anything about that. I mean, it was all the rage the last 10 days or so, and then just petered out. I thought that was something to make note of. And, the other part of this is the demoralization campaign that clearly is behind this. And makes no sense to look at the timeline and see that Steve Bannon has 16 hours of footage of conversations with Epstein from 2018. And I've known this for a couple of years. I'm so surprised that it didn't get more traction, but he's about to release that. So all of this has some sort of connectivity, that they've rehashed everything, and now Maxwell's going to get, she's got immunity already, probably will get a pardon. The ties with Mossad clearly underpinning all of this. But it is interesting, all the news that the sleuths supposedly didn't get, which I don't buy. People have had this information, like the story on Zero Hedge right now. The front page is talking about the orange blob that shows up in the footage of Epstein's cell. I mean, and just now doing this all these years later, and there's this right before the shift change happens. There's this figure that shows up in that. I think that accompanied with the fact that you have people like Russell Brand put out a tweet. It's like, trust no one except Jesus. This is Russell Brand putting this out a few days ago, and he links the deposition of 2010 that records Epstein being asked, have you ever been in the same room with Donald Trump and underage girls? And he says, he pleads the fifth. I'm going to have to plead the Fifth Amendment. This is shocking stuff. But again, they've had this for ages. So something is afoot here, being recycled, put out there. The narrative change. Don is completely right. It's not the same show. We're watching a different character, different players, and the backdrop of all of this, while we're watching, this is really a knife in America First. This is a Dolchstoß, a stab in the back to nationalism, to America First, to traditional paleo-conservatism, anything that you would link to be the antithesis of globalism is getting the hell kicked out of it right now and demoralized. And you got to ask yourself, why is that? And what does that all mean? And of course, the economic consequences of the failure, really, of the weaponization of the dollar through tariffs and things, you can see breaking down where, Trump's threatening tariffs on India because of their ties to BRICS and Russia. This is going to have massive blowback implications on the dollar. So that, I think this is all interconnected in that way, but it's hard to ascertain exactly why they're rolling out so much of this and what's the other shoe to drop. It doesn't look good. There's really no turning back at this point as far as whatever structure was perceived to be in place in January of this year is weak and I think mortally wounded.
Well, a lot of the evidence that's been dropped lately, that's new. That letter that he wrote to Epstein, where he drew a woman and he put his signature as their pubic hair, right? Or that video that came out of Epstein saying, "Hey, they were asking him." And I'll play it on my show Sunday night, 7 p.m. We're going live. Don't forget it. Sunday night, 7 p.m. We're gonna do it. I think Sebs is going to join me, and Jeremy Roshka's show might join me as well. We might go for 3 hours. There's a lot to cover. I missed a lot while I was away. But the video of Epstein being asked questions, and interrogated, and they were like, "Hey, Tony just made reference to it. Have you ever been and this was in 2010. Have you ever been in a room with Donald Trump with underage girls?" And he's like, "Well, I plead the fifth." At least lie about it, right? You're such a scumbag, right? At that point, I'm having a hard time understanding what's going on with all of this, right? It's like, did they want Trump to become president, and that's why they didn't release any of this stuff? And now they're done with him, whomever is in control of all of this information and throwing it out there. I don't know. I have no idea, but it's hard for me to figure it out. Donald Trump is saying some of the most outlandish stuff ever, but the thing is, the one thing I do disagree with you guys about is that nothing's changed. Donald Trump has always been this guy. The only thing that has changed is the people that he has around him. And during the first administration, he had people that would keep him in line and try to normalize his bullshit, right? What they're doing now, the sycophants that he has now, they give him free range to do whatever he wants. And now you're seeing the true Donald Trump. Now you're seeing what Donald Trump's policies toward the economy, what effects they actually have, or rather than 2016 through 2020, the greatest economy of all time, according to him. He had very little to do with any of that. You're seeing what Trump is capable of right now. The lies, the deceit, the hypocrisy, the incompetence, and the clear mental decline. I think that's another thing that we can point to. He's always been a very mentally sick man. But now it's just being it's manifesting itself a little more. I don't think any of this has changed, and this is why I've had the position that I've had with Donald Trump for as long as I've had it, because he's always been this, always. Now, for some reason, people are seeing it a little bit clearer, and I'll take it, because I couldn't take the zombie people that were, and we still have one. We have one in the chat, Jackson. What's up, Jackson? He's my number one fan, and he refuses to jump off the Trump train, but that's there's still people that will subscribe to that. And even when Trump is gone, there will still be people that subscribe to Trumpism. But Trump was never America first. It was never America first. I don't subscribe to protectionism. I think it's an antiquated philosophy. I don't think it works. But regardless of that, if you subscribe to protectionism, pivot away from Donald Trump having anything to do with it as soon as possible if you want to salvage your frame of thinking and actually keep it pure. Donald Trump is not America first. He's never been America first. Ever, ever, ever. He has no idea. He did not know what NATO was. He didn't know. He openly said, and I was talking about this with Twisted yesterday. What's up, Twisted? He openly said that little girls are sent to school at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday, and at 3 p.m. on that same Tuesday, they were sent home as the opposite sex of what they were. And that this was happening throughout the United States. He said this several times on the campaign trail. People didn't care. The Epstein information has been out forever. People were looking for mental gymnastics to try to cover it up, saying, oh, well, Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago because he found out that he was running pedophile rings and he kicked them out. You remember that narrative? Because I do. It kept coming on over and over and over, and people would justify it. Well, now we have our answer, don't we? It was bullshit from the beginning. People just chose to look the other way for whatever reason, and and we can go down every quote unquote policy of Donald Trump. I don't think he stands for anything, but we can go down everything that he is supposed to be the champion for, and see how people have looked the other way. And now people are saying, like we got Nick Fuentes, whom I can't stand Nick Fuentes, but he's been going scorched earth on Donald Trump. And he's right about everything he's saying. But why now? Because Nick Fuentes is a lot of things, but stupid is not one of them. He knew all of this stuff before, but he looked the other way, didn't say anything about it, and continued to push Donald Trump. See, people like Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn and all of these people, the Undertaker had him on the podcast, all of these guys that had him on the podcast, they had no freaking clue. They are the low information voter that Steve Bannon continues to talk about. And they pushed Donald Trump because he was a cool guy. And they're like, oh my God, anything is better than Kamala Harris. Well, we're seeing it now. We're seeing it now. And we have 3.5 more years of this. Who knows how far this will get? I always look towards El Salvador, and I look to Viktor Orban as well, and seeing what they've done and what they're doing, because that's the blueprint. And in El Salvador right now, they scrapped terms for the presidency, meaning Bukele can run indefinitely. So we have to look for things like that, because this is the blueprint. If you guys don't believe me, right? Or if you guys, just go look this up. Look up the parallels between the Trump administration and the Bukele administration. Go ahead, buddy. What's up?
But I think Billy, what has changed, and I think you have been like him for a long time, and I've been an agnostic. Tony was kind of agnostic, I think, too, for a while, but his personality was never the attraction. But again, he filled a void, because what happens is that too many people that hate him so much, they're turning a blind eye to the absolute corruption that he seems to oppose. And that's why he filled a void, because we need somebody to fight this. It's like there's a dragon there. He came and, hey, here's your boy. He's going to fight the dragon. And that's the only guy they gave us. They didn't give us anybody else. The media paid attention to him. No one else had a chance. And so a lot of people put their faith, because he kept saying, especially early on, he said a lot of revolutionary stuff. He talked about, troops in 150 countries around the world. We need to bring them home. Why are they still there? Nobody talks about that. He did, and of course he was never going to do it, but he said it. Nobody else is saying it. He talked about the problems that existed, people that were very real problems. Now, people still maintained hope when he came the second time around. because I mean, not me, but I was shocked the way just the way he was very it looked to be very proactive at first, and maybe he was going to do something good. But the excuse was, well, the first time around they were constantly impeaching him. He was distracted with Russia, 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 and all this stuff, which is a stupid excuse. And I criticized him many times then that his actions were completely opposite of what his words, his rhetoric. But people still had hope because there is no other hope outside of Trump. The system is completely closed. The corruption is from top to bottom everywhere. And you just see how bad it is. So there's a huge void there. They need somebody. They need a white knight. That's why Q came along with the white hats, because we certainly need white hats. They're not there, but we need them because if the MAGA movement gets crushed, which it looks like it's happening, I don't know. I don't think anything will replace it, but I hope you can't put those 80 million people back in the bottle that are awake to something. Because certainly, Trump's rhetoric kept them going. And then him throwing red meat to them, no matter what he did, he somehow could convince them, well, yeah, but actually he's playing chess, or because he would still say good stuff. He's not saying good stuff now, ever. He's not throwing them any red meat at all. He's saying incredibly stupid stuff. And he's not flip-flopping. He's just being the bad guy all the time. So I don't think they're going to be fooled by JD Vance, certainly not by a Nikki Haley or anybody like that, because they're not going to ever tell them anything good. And as much as important as the Epstein thing is, the Israeli thing is it's not going to go away. You've got much of the left. You've got most of the alt media. The Candace Owens of the world now are doing great work on this. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. And so Trump trying to still pretend that Israel is our ally, and that's the side we should be on. I mean, look at Jackson Bear talking about Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi, what did she do? She's done nothing about anything significant, but she suddenly got all upset because some Palestinian supporter, some girl, knocked an iPhone out of some Jewish student's hand or something. The Attorney General of the United States is getting involved in some stupid nonsense like that. That may be something for the dean, if that. But for the Attorney General, the same Attorney General that, as Jackson points out, who's the pipe bomber from January 6th, they're not answering any of those questions. The Epstein list doesn't exist. So, but all of that is tied to Israel. Even the JFK file releases that we saw the last time, every single redacted item had to do with Israel. So you've got so many people talking about Jewish power and Israel and Zionism that never talked about it before. And I don't think that's going away. I don't think you can keep brushing it away and keep trying to pass laws about anti-Semitism. And Trump is right up there with that. He wants that to be illegal. He wants to crush dissent on college campuses about talking about what's happening in Gaza. But I don't think this anything is going away. But unfortunately, Israel is just as important as Epstein in crushing the MAGA movement, because it's the people that really wanted to put America first were not subservient to Israel. Trump is absolutely subservient to Israel. When you hold a child for Netanyahu like he did, that symbolically says something very powerful.
Well, Tony, I'm throwing it to you and go ahead, Tony. Go ahead, buddy.
I was just going to pick up from where Don was leaving off about Israel, because in the financial headlines, Trump is about to abandon negotiations with Canada over the trade deals that he's re-implementing because Canada wants to recognize Palestine. Now, can someone explain to me what in the hell that has to do with the U.S. economy? And that's how subservient. Don's absolutely right there. And this game that is being played here, and it's a psychological game. And I think that there's a possibility that Trump is a discarded asset at this point, that he's been put in this position. They've turned a blind eye, kept all this information, even with all of the armies of people out there trying to find some dirt over the last 10 years. You're telling me this stuff is just now coming out. This is a game. This is mind warfare. And of course, it's meant to distract the hell out of you while the world is changing. And we still don't have a conclusion on the Ukraine-Russia issue, by the way, which Trump seems to have a poll reversal on, that hasn't taken I don't think the importance that it should have taken over the last 6 or 8 weeks, because I've been watching this very closely. We're looking to replace Zelensky instead of actually winding the war down. And Trump just sent 2 nuclear subs out into Russian territory. Like, this is still a very contentious thing. You know, the geopolitical chessboard and war is still very much at the top of the importance level. Meanwhile, we have to discuss this stuff because it is, I think, it's a message and it's meant for you to get, caught up in it and take sides. But I think that I'm going to go back to my previous statement at the beginning of the show. Something is terribly wrong with the America First and nationalistic movement and whatever you consider conservatism. It's taken possibly a mortal blow. It might be a generational death blow. It may take a long time for it to come back. And Don knows this. I mean, you look at the America First movement from the late 1930s, early 1940s. It took that long for it to make a comeback up until 2015. And now we just see that crumbling before our eyes. There's a reason for that. And I think that the underlying reason is globalization is still the order of the day, the Agenda 2030, the Great Reset, all of that tying back to the financial system, stable coins, blockchain, central bank digital currency. Those are the important issues. And right now, the need to demoralize the base of whatever nationalism is in the United States, I think, seems to be very important to them.
All right. Well, go ahead, Tony. You had something more? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No. It is. And I think he's Tony's exactly right. This is a demoralization exercise, and that's for whatever reason, maybe they're just trying to turn people, because you already have the young people that are already jaded. They don't even believe, they prefer the AI world because this world is so screwed up, and they know it. Maybe they can have more fun playing their video games or whatever. And so this is to demoralize them, and they've already killed any sense of them wanting to marry and have kids. I mean, those things are plummeting. They know they don't have any hope for the future, and those are the people that are going to be the future voters, and they're not going to vote. Why would they vote for? Unless somebody comes out and says, yeah, we're going to give you a really good universal basic income, they might vote for that because that's the only thing they see happen. But right now, Trump promised so many things, and he didn't deliver on anything. Nothing. There's not one thing he's delivered on that gives substance at all, except for constantly supporting Israel and promoting himself and his ego. That's it. Nothing else has been related. I don't know what he's done with immigration except get everybody mad. I don't think he's done anything anymore. He doesn't even talk about the infrastructure anymore. And he talked about money in the Pentagon, and then he gave he put out the first $1 trillion budget in the history of this country for the Defense Department. So I don't understand how anybody can possibly be supporting it, but that doesn't mean that I'm possibly going to support the absolutely insane most of the people on the woke left, other than, I'm with the squad. They may hate me because I'm white, but they're absolutely right. We're together on Israel. There's no question about that. But the rest of it is insanity. So I don't see, there's such a void there for a real populist movement. If you imagine a Huey Long came out today and said the things he said, he was given a platform, but he wouldn't be given a platform. So at any rate, I think the Trump era is, we're just waiting now for the next act and to see how this thing ends, because he basically has 3 years left. And this is going to be the longest lame duck presidency in history, unless something sensational happens where they can try to craft something where they release the Epstein list or files, and somehow they claim they have some kind of proof that Trump did throw him out of there or something, which I don't think that's it. But that's the only thing they can possibly do, because nothing else. He's going to be implicated in at least some way if they throw that out there. And so are a lot of other powerful people. So they're not going to let that happen. But without doing that, everybody knows that there's something there, and he just can't get away with this. I can't believe you're still questioning about it. So he has to come up with some kind of new act. But again, I suspect that he's just following the script.
This is the worst administration we've ever had in America. I know you guys or Don likes to reference Abraham Lincoln. I don't know. Maybe you can make parallels there, but other than that, in my lifetime, this is the worst 6 months ever. I think we talk about Trump derangement syndrome often, and I think now it's being laid to bear that it was just rotten. There's a lot of rotten stuff over at Trump, and while we can point at the left is instrumental in what's going on in the Middle East and Gaza. Joe Biden supplied them with. I mean, they've been supplied with weapons and money forever, but Joe Biden was the demolition crew, right? And now Trump is going to go and rebuild, right? Well, and make it the Riviera of the Middle East, and God knows what else. So there is none of these parties are absolved of any wrongdoing, and none of them, and they're all far from perfect. But in my opinion, to sit here and say, these guys are so bad, but the other guys are so freaking insane. I think there's a clear difference between what happened during Biden and what's happening now. We've never seen anything like this. This guy is more erratic than anyone who's ever sat in that chair. Malignant narcissist. Look what he's doing now. Point to where the Biden administration did something like this. All right. Trump fires Commissioner of Labor Statistics after weaker than expected job figures slams market. So he gets statistics that he doesn't like from his crappy economic decisions and the stupid ass tariffs and all this dumb shit that he's doing. Right. So he gets numbers that he doesn't like. So what does he do? And Trump has been doing this since the beginning, and it's been covered up by saying, oh, he's getting at the deep state, or look, or when he's asked a question by the mainstream media that he doesn't like, he just goes fake news, and everybody's like, yeah, get at him, get at the fake news mainstream media. But all he was doing was deflecting. That's all he was doing. He just didn't want to answer the question, or it was something that he didn't like. It was too much for him. But now we're seeing it. Better late than never. I'm with it. Look what he's doing here. So now, can we trust any numbers coming out of this administration? Because they're going to be afraid to put out legit numbers because of they're going to lose their jobs, and Trump is going to fire them if they don't like the numbers that are produced. This is 1984 doublespeak. Up is down. Left is right. This is what we're looking at right now. But
you're right, but sorry to interrupt you, but Clinton, one of the great things about that Trump did when he was first running, he pointed out how fake these statistics are. And he talked about, some people think the unemployment rate's really 40%. It is. The unemployment rate was changed in the 90s to make it always appear better than what it was. But again, as soon as he came in, then he started bragging about the same fake figures. And I'm sure he would say he never said that. Now, so all of this stuff is fake. Whatever numbers they put out, it's not just Trump. Every administration always did that. They always try to make it. The State of the Union is always good when they're talking to these people. And in fact, it's always bad in terms of, the average people in this country.
What's that saying, Billy, that statistics don't lie, but liars use statistics? That comes to mind. Mm-hmm. You still got Billy?
Oh man, I was muted. My fault. I thought I was talking this entire time. No, continue. Give me your thoughts on this. I still want Don's thoughts on this. I don't know if we got full
well,
thoughts.
This is an IQ. I mean, if you are still following government statistics at this point, or whatever they release, whether it's go back to the Biden administration when they were saying, we see millions of new job openings. And I just happen to go, well, I might not be the smartest guy in the room, but how do you have millions of new job openings? Because you coerced and bullied corporations to fire people who didn't take your injection. That's why you have millions of new openings. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was pretty clear that was the case. And they're always going to use these, so-called figures. But it's interesting that somebody in the administration gets axed. It's like, you're killing the messenger. Most likely that's probably if if they get fired over, it's more close to the truth than not. It's kind of like the numbers on, what can you even believe? Like numbers on deportation. Do we believe any of that?
Right? No.
I think at the end of the day, if there is a future, hopefully there is, and there's historians and they actually can think, then we'll go back and look and see that Obama had higher deportations over his 8 years than Trump's 8. I mean, probably by leaps and bounds. All of this, I think, it goes back to the war on your mind and the fact that even the truth or whatever, even numbers get fudged. You know, math isn't political. Math doesn't care what your viewpoints or your intent is.
Right.
And now we're fudging it from the highest levels to get you to accept something that isn't real. I think if you actually ran the data, the U.S. economy is in an extreme slump. I'm seeing this in my business. I talk to people all the time about it. Right now, institutions, giant conglomerates are buying up assets in preparation for the reset that, again, has been telegraphed for years. That's what I'm telling my audience to pay attention to. Try to step back and zoom out into the geopolitical implications of de-dollarization and how the world's shifting away from the American balance of hegemonic power and dominance that it's clearly losing its grip on. And a lot of that you can see waning in the post-Cold War structure. When they said that Francis Fukuyama said that it was the end of history and liberal democracy had triumphed, it was absolute horseshit, because now we see the breakup of everything. And, nationalism certainly is on the docket for a demoralization campaign in preparation for the Great Reset agenda. That's what I would be continuing to pay attention to.
Real quick on the immigration issue. If Donald Trump does not do a better job than what Barack Obama did, and for all the Democrat derangement syndrome people out there and the Obama haters, he did deportations better than your boy by far, by leaps and bounds, and he did it legally. If Trump doesn't match or surpass those numbers, it's because of gross incompetence, not for a lack of trying, and not a media psychological warfare going on, even though there's a lot of psychological warfare going on. These people mean to deport people. These people are trying to do a reality show because they want to scare the crap out of people for self-deportation, right? And so we've seen it, but don't believe me. Let's go to the numbers. The ICE is now the largest, it's the biggest funded, the most well-funded federal policing organization in the nation by far. By far. $50,000 signing bonuses if you want to be an ICE agent. And get this, all you people that were giving me shit about student loan forgiveness, they will also forgive your student loans. They will also forgive your student loans if you want to join ICE and deport the farmers and deport the day laborers and deport all those people, little kids with cancer. You want to do that? They're going to give you all the money in the world to do it, right? Then they say they don't have money. They don't have money to pay teachers. They don't have money to pay police officers, right? They don't have money to do any of this stuff. But ICE, boy, let me tell you, right? They give them everything in the world, all the money in the world. So if they don't reach their goals, it's because of gross incompetence, not because of a lack of trying. Don, what are you thinking of this? What are you thinking?
No. I mean, there's always, I always say we're being ruled by corruption, incompetence, and now insanity. So right. It's a toxic stew. So but that incompetence is baked into the conspiracy. They want incompetent people there because that's what they want. It's just like they limit the IQs of cops. They don't want them too smart because they want what they want. They set out to achieve these things. So it doesn't surprise me. That's Trumpenstein throwing signing bonuses to ICE and just more money. But what are they doing? What are you getting for that money? And again, this is I don't know. I'm not an ICE officer, but it seems to me at least the part about guarding the border is pretty simple. You just station people over there. But we saw during Biden's administration, it could still be going on now for all I know, that they were basically escorting them in. And when Alex Jones had those places when he went to the border and he saw all these mostly males, young males, where their families, waiting in line, or then you'd have pregnant women waiting in other lines, and he'd ask them, why are they, and who's facilitating that? ICE obviously is supposed to be there to prevent that. You're not supposed to be doing that. Is that a legal way to come in the country? It's time to have a baby, so I go and I line up at Catholic charities or something, and they're all in on it too. I mean, remember when Alex Jones he caught all those people that going in looked like official vehicles and stuff, and nobody would comment, and they tried to stop. I mean, that was for years he did that. There's been shenanigans. So an honest ICE they don't need a $50,000 bonus to stop that kind of stuff. They never did that, as I wrote about in Survival of the Richest, where they've had that. Not there's lots of Social Security scams, but they've had a particular scam going on for decades, and the IRS knows about it, and they won't do anything about it. And it involves illegal immigrants and claiming dependents back in their country, and they can claim basically like you could claim, well, yeah, I have 20 kids back in Mexico or whatever, and they don't care. No, I mean, that's obviously something that shouldn't be going on. But so the authorities, yeah, that's a lot of that is incompetence. But I think they want this to happen because they want the cheap labor and they want the division in society. Why do you think when they bring these immigrants in, it's the people from Mexico themselves are not just saying, well, I'm going to refuse. When I get over there, I'm not going to learn any English. I'm going to refuse to do it. They're making it so they don't want them to learn English. And why would that be? No sane leader would do that because they don't want them communicating. If you're speaking a different language, it's much easier to hate each other or to not get along. I mean, obviously, communication is essential. They've already done that. How many decades have we seen signs in Florida and elsewhere, all in Spanish, ballots in Spanish, everything in Spanish? For English, press 1. Español, dos. That how long? How many? Every menu does that. So they want it. They don't want assimilation. So I don't blame the immigrants for that, but this is all part of the government allowing this to happen. And that's why when Trump rushed in to fill a void that people have been talking about this for, finally he's going to do something about it. And as Jackson pointed out, and Biden, he said the same thing. A lot of the immigration numbers, it's not that Biden and Biden were doing a great job. They were basically, it was like a revolving door. So they would just maybe re-deport the same ones over and over again.
How can we prove that? Let's prove that. Let's not talk about it. Let's prove it. Jackson can't prove it. Jackson can't prove it. Jackson is talking whatever he heard on whatever right-wing media he listens to. Don,
that's not an excuse. I'm not doing that to excuse Trump because Trump has done nothing that he said he would do. I'm just saying that may make their numbers look a little better than they should. That doesn't make Trump, because it shouldn't matter if they did that over and over again. If they deported the same immigrants 100 times a day, Trump should still have better numbers because this was his issue, and he doesn't.
If that's the case, then are the illegal immigrant numbers correct? Shouldn't they be lower than what they are? If that's the case, if they keep let's put everything in perspective. If that's the case, it's almost like that this narrative that was going on, and people are still using it, and I don't understand that. They're like, oh, they're bringing in the illegal immigrants so they can vote Democrat. How could you even make that argument after what happened a few months ago?
No,
I don't even make that argument. But people
and that's the same people that talked about fraud in 2020 and don't trust the system. And I don't trust the system regardless. But yeah, so that I don't think that's the case. But I think it's mostly cheap labor, and they want to divide the country. They want order out of chaos. They want people to be at each other's throats, because then you don't see the common enemy. If you're constantly arguing with each other, and that's why they get us distracted. I get distracted as much as anybody. I got black fatigue. There's no question. My black fatigue is through the roof.
Don, we gotta have a heart to heart, you and I, at some point with this, man. Stop it with the black fatigue. Go ahead, buddy.
Man, I mean, it's so they can distract me too. I'm distracted, but it's to make it so they don't want you seeing the kind that's keeping everybody down. So I try to stay grounded with that. But however you look at it, this is what is going on, and it's just Trump. He's louder about all this, and he's distracting everybody with his personality. But the bottom line is it's business as usual. Nothing is improving. And for the average person, they're getting screwed more and more. Yeah. They're not getting raises. They're not getting job opportunities. You still got not only illegal immigrants at the bottom, you have foreign visa workers everywhere that destroyed my old industry that I saw firsthand. All this stuff is still going. The infrastructure is still not being touched. The defense budget is bigger than ever. We're still getting wars, all occupations for no reason at all, and we're still in bed with Israel. So none of that has changed. The only thing that's changed is Trump's crazy personality. That's it. And I admit that's you talk about a giant distraction. Most people can't get past that, and I say that is the point of what I call the Trumpenstein project.
All right, fantastic. It's time to get out of here, ladies and gents. We could have gone on for hours and hours at this point with all the stuff that has gone down. We'll all cover it individually on our shows leading up to America Unplugged. And next week, I'm going to kick it off tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm going live right here on Tony's X and on my X, and maybe on YouTube. I would have. Hopefully, I'll have it up by then, and I can tell everybody to go subscribe over there on Ground Zero Plus. I'll be there too. Then Tony goes live on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Is it 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. Eastern, Tony?
It's 12 Eastern.
12 p.m. Eastern. Tony goes live
Central Time
every Thursday. And then Don Jeffries at 5 p.m. Eastern on Fridays leading into America Unplugged. So we will cover everything in our own unique ways. So tune in. And we appreciate you. Mr. Tony Arterburn, the wisest of all the wolves. Tell the people where they can find you.
Well, you can find my website at arterburn.gold. You can find my podcast there and info. And then we've got a new newsletter that's coming out. So you want to subscribe to anything that my websites that you've got a subscription there. You can put in your email address. We're going to be sending out the weekly Wolf in the next couple of weeks. Wise Wolf Gold and Crypto shows coming back Monday, August 11th. Ooh. I'm going to start running that weekly live, also 12 Eastern, right after the David Knight show. Nice. And I got some other announcements coming up. And I would like to close by saying we're finishing out that conversation. And I think, if you look at all of the metrics here, you look at the social cohesion that's breaking down, the animus and rancor that's put into the political process to keep us all very much antagonized and at each other's throats. You add in the fact that we seem impotent to do anything regarding mass immigration or illegal immigration, to the point where it seems like it's permanently broken. And then you add in the introduction of AI and automation and the massive amount of job losses that are going to come from that. I think you're setting up a revolutionary type environment here in the U.S. Unfortunately, I think that's the danger there of the breakdown of the social order, given the fact of the introduction of new technology. We're running off an old playbook. We might have gotten away with this for a while, post NAFTA, even with the loss of jobs and the transfers of wealth. But that's just going to be on my mind. Something I'll talk about on the Wise Wolf Gold and Crypto show and the Arterburn radio transmission coming up next week.
Love it, love it, love it. More things for me to listen to while I'm roaming the streets of New York. Don Jeffries, the legendary. How are you, sir? I know I said something about your shirt earlier, but I didn't mean it. Your shirt is fantastic.
Yeah, a couple of people comment. I don't know if they don't like it or what.
It's a beautiful shirt. It's they're just hating in the chat because they can't rock that shirt like you do, sir. We all should look to Don Jeffries for our fashion tips and style. I love it. I'm gonna try to pull it off next week. I can't say that I'm gonna do as good a job as you, but I'm gonna try it. The legendary Don Jeffries, tell the people what's up, sir.
Well, first of all, I want to tell everybody that's listening to this here, you need to subscribe to the America Unplugged Rumble channel. And I see a lot of people in the chat over there, but only a couple thumbs up. If you're watching the damn thing, click how hard is that to click the damn like? And you should be doing it on my show as well too. And maybe some comments as well. Drop some comments there. But and subscribe to my Rumble channel, Author Jeffries. You can find it easily. I had to put the yesterday's show with John Richardson, which is very controversial, obviously new controversial for YouTube. I had to put that up on Rumble, and I would like to transition away from YouTube, but that's where I get my big audience. So if you guys start subscribing to me on Rumble, I'll start seeing that, and because I don't know how long I'm going to last on YouTube. They just suspend me all the time. So next week, you won't see my show on YouTube. Watch it on live stream on X, or go to Rumble and subscribe to my channel, Author Jeffries. But it'll probably live stream on the America Unplugged part. So subscribe to both of them. And when you're watching these things, give us thumbs up. So try to support us as much as you can. I hear stuff about how great the show is. Well, that's great. And but just give it a thumbs up. Give it a like, give it views, and please subscribe to me on Substack. That's where eventually I have to start broadcasting with them if I can figure it out or just get over my procrastination. That's Donald Jeffries at Substack.com. I protest just like my podcast, so that's the way you can support me best.
Fantastic. You got all the info you need there. Big shouts to Elon Musk. I know we've had our differences, Elon, and we still don't align on a lot of things, but thank you for letting us stream on X, on Tony's X, on my X, on Don's X. We don't have to worry about what we're saying unless we don't criticize Elon, of course. And we don't mean to, Elon. We're good. We're good right now. You kind of botched Doge, but you're going after Trump now. So, we're cool. We're together right now. So thank you for letting us stream here. And everywhere else we're streaming on AmericaUnplugged.com and America Unplugged on Podbeam. All you people that listen after the fact, thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for listening. All right. My show, 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. That's my live show. And we're doing a couple of other things. So you know where to find it on X, on my X, on Tony's X. I'm going to try to stream on the America Unplugged Rumble channel. I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to probably recruit Jason Barker because, Tony's busy picking up things and putting them down. So I got somebody. I need somebody to steer me through that. Shouts to Chris Graves, who was in the chat. Shouts to Sebs, who was in the chat. Twisted is in the chat. Jackson T. Barrett, although he is lost, he's always here. So thank you, Jackson. We appreciate you. And one day I hope that you see the truth. I think one day Jackson is going to vote for AOC. I think that's going to happen when she runs for president in 2028. I think he's going to do it. I have faith in you, sir. Who else was here? Skunk Hollow Rose Gardens. What's up?
Yeah. They love the show.
What's up, buddy?
They love the show. They keep saying how great the show is. Skunk Hollow Rose Gardens.
That's great. And it's all different opinions, different sides, different perspectives given on this show, so there's a little bit for everybody, and anybody else who I missed. What's up? Bronx Stompers 11 or 111. Yeah, that's what it is. What's going on? Shouts to all of you. We're going to cover Candace Owens and her lying ass, and she's being sued right now. So we're going to cover that. Yeah, these people want to give away money. All I'm saying is, if you want to give away money, I'll gladly take it. You don't have to go through all of this crap and go to get hire lawyers and all. Just give it to me. All right. BRV1776@gmail.com. Hit me up. I will take your money, Candace Owens. So we're gonna talk about her. We're gonna talk about Nick Fuentes. We're gonna talk about Alex Jones, and we're gonna talk about your boy, Mr. Donald Trump, and his connections with Jeffrey Epstein that continue to surface. And of course, we need to talk about why they're surfacing, because we at this point it's kind of suspect. I agree with Tone that they had all of this stuff. Why is it now that they're pouring on all the extra stuff? And that's not to say that there wasn't enough evidence that this guy was a degenerate piece of crap before you voted him into office. There was plenty of evidence for it, including Epstein. All right, we just got more. This is icing on the cake. And I don't know why they're releasing it. Maybe they're done with Trump. Listen, I'm all for it, man. All for it. Let's do it. Let's get rid of him. And then let's get JD Vance in the presidency. He doesn't have the charisma of a Donald Trump. He's going to do some damage, but he won't be able to hold it together. And we'll keep our figurative boot on his throat and be like, yo, knock it off. This is America Unplugged, ladies and gentlemen. You know where to find us, 12 p.m. Eastern. On all of our X channels and on AmericaUnplugged.com, on Don's YouTube, if we ever get it back. And, of course, Rumble. That's it. we're done for the day. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate each and every one of you. Have a fantastic weekend. Tony, what's up with the Crystal Skulls? What's the status? What are you going to do?
Well, the lemur just ran off with the crystal skull. He's wearing an Indiana Jones hat. I don't know. I've been duped. I thought they were friendly. I'm going to have to spend the rest of the day tracking that down. I'll let you know. I'll text you.
Deport the lemurs. Let's get Laura Loomer on that. She'd probably be perfect for it. Also, Superman was dope. Go check it out. Fantastic Four, but if you're into that sort of stuff, go check it out. And I really enjoyed the Jurassic Park movie. And I'll tell you why before we get out of here. Steven Spielberg directed it, or he had something to do with it. And it had a lot of Indiana Jones-ish, scenes in it. So go check that out. All right. We're getting up out of here. No music today. Peace.